For more on the swearing in the National Parliament, we cross to Bulelani Phillip, who's standing by for us in Parliament.
Well, welcome outside the National Assembly. Of course, we've just gone for a lunch break following, the nomination of Ms. Thandi Modise to contest the Speaker's position. Obviously, the opposition, the Democratic Alliance, have also raised their own candidate, Mr. Richard Majola. Of course, officials from Parliament are now saying that they need time to actually print ballot papers. Of course, earlier on, all members of the National Assembly were sworn in, taking time to take an oath of office and affirmation. Of course, what we've seen is that first up was President-elect President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was led by some of the senior members of the ANC. And the DA was led by the DA leader, Mmusi Maimane. Of course, the EFF was led by the Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Julius Malema, entering the floor of the National Assembly, dancing in that dance called Ivosho. Of course, now as we take lunch, we're going to be speaking about some of the happenings that happened inside. Joining me now is Dakota Lehwete, the spokesperson for the ANC. Mr. Lehwete, thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of the DA putting up a candidate to contest the ANC's candidate?
Well, I think it's an attempt by the DA to save face after a dismal performance in the elections. I think they want to recover, but there's no problem. As the African National Congress, we appreciate it. It's part of the democracy that we have pioneered for the country. We are confident that our president candidate, Commander-in-Chief of all armed forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, is going to emerge as the President of the Republic. It's a three-line whip. We are clear to all our MPs that we are voting one president, three-line whip to all our MPs that we are voting one speaker. So we hope that as the African National Congress, we are going to emerge out of this particular contest that we have from the opposition.
You obviously have the numbers in your favor. You're probably not anxious at all at this hour.
No, look, we are not anxious. We are resolute as the African National Congress, more focused, more united to renew not only our organization, but the entirety of our republic. So it's going to be the case. President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to come in as the President of the Republic. That's what the whole of South Africa and the world expect.
Let's just shift focus for a bit and focus on some of the happenings this morning. Some of the members that were supposed to be sworn in never made it, basically withdrawing from being members of the National Assembly. As we stand now, who is not coming here, and have you got reasons as to why they've chosen not to be sworn in as members?
Look, the decision whether to be a member of Parliament, even though it's branches that nominates candidates, and eventually the decision lies with the member, given their own personal circumstances and challenges that they may face. So as it is for now, we hope that those who are not going to make themselves available will inform the organization, and obviously they will have to do it through the Secretary General's office. As it is the case now, the Secretary General has not briefed us. We still have to hear who would be coming and who would not be coming, and what would be the reasons. We'll make it known to the public once we know. But that particular final decision of a member coming back, it depends on a member and their own personal circumstances. They may differ. Others may be issues of pensions. Others may be issues that they think they will have to take care of their health. Others may be family reasons. Reasons would differ from situation to situation. So as it is the case now, it's not yet final who's going to be in, who's going to be out.
You probably now have the task of having to look for another candidate who will occupy that position of the chair of chairs, which was supposed to be taken up by Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane. At this stage, do you know perhaps maybe who may take up that seat?
Look, we have the leadership of the top six. So far, they have not met to give us new instructions. We'll await them, but as the organization, the African National Congress, we have a pool of cadres who are capable to occupy that particular position. If finally it's going to be left out, but we are not panicking. We are definite that there will be a replacement. We'll announce it also very soon.
A quick one before I let you go. Has the ANC had discussions on whether the position of Scopa chairperson will be given to the opposition as a convention? And if so, which political party?
Look, even that one, we have not finalized it as an organization. For now, we are still discussing it. It will be part of our finalization when we deal with chairpersons of portfolio committees, whips and everybody. Once we have dealt with those particular processes, we'll also make it known who's going to be our chair of the SCOPA. But so far, it's a matter that we're still dealing with internally. Once we have finalized, I'm sure you'll know.
All right, Mr. Takota Lagwete, the spokesperson of the ANC, I'm going to leave you to go and enjoy your lunch. You probably will need some energy after lunch when the election of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the President continue. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
No, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Obviously, we are going to take more reactions right here on the steps of the National Assembly. I'm going to bring into the conversation now Ms. Bulelani Phillip, who is an independent political analyst. Ma'am, just judging from the proceedings this morning, of course, the DA putting up a candidate. What's your reading on that?
Well, one really shouldn't read too much into the DA's putting up of a candidate. It's really a formality. It's something that they've done over the previous 5 parliamentary terms. Although it's really quite obvious that given the number of parliamentary seats that the ANC has, that obviously the vote is going to go for the ANC. So in a nutshell, one really shouldn't read too much into that. It's really the DA putting up a show, putting up a front.
Just that strategy, do you think it's going to work, or is just an irritation among some of the parties in the House?
Well, we obviously do need to bear in mind the entire notion of multi-party democracy, in that obviously the opposition parties are entitled to put up a fight, and even if ultimately they may not have the numbers at the end of the day, but it is important for them to put up a show and to remind their electorate exactly as to why they are in Parliament.
All right, let's now move to the issue of that's been happening this morning. 1 or 2 members deciding not to come to Parliament. Your reading on that, should we expect more of these ANC candidates who just decide that maybe it's time to go out?
Well, given the outcry, the public outcry over the certain names of individuals on ANC lists, given the allegations of corruption, given the fact that the ANC's Integrity Commission had been accused of being toothless in terms of dealing with these individuals, I think that these developments should be welcomed, because it would appear as if the governing party is responding to the overwhelming public concern about its ability to hold its own officials to account.
And those names, some of them remain in the House. How do you think maybe some of the opposition parties will be responding to them, particularly maybe when they make statements in the House when there's a debate? How do you think they will be responding?
Well, it will obviously corrode the extent to which the manner of robust debates within the committees can take place. If some of these individuals have these allegations hanging like a cloud over them. But ultimately, I think we need to bear in mind the fact that they've sworn an oath, and in terms of that oath, they've sworn faithfulness to the Constitution, faithfulness to the Republic. So it's hoped that going forward, they're guided by those constitutional principles rather than the underlying party line.
Just on another subject, we've seen in the 5th Parliament how the EFF has brought some livelihoodness in the House, and perhaps maybe at times they've been accused of creating chaos. Do you see that maybe in this Parliament they will probably be going on in the same manner that they did in the last Parliament?
Well, if the swearing in of the EFF MPs was anything to go by, the fact that the vast majority of them elected to do a little dance, I think in a sense it does push the boundaries of the decorum of the House. But on the other hand, I think right now, and more than any other time, it's really the first time where the South African public has shown an overwhelming interest in the affairs of Parliament. So I think on the other hand, we need to balance that up, the theatrics, the playing to the gallery, with real public interest that's being shown in the workings of the Parliament.
All right, thank you so much, Bulelani Phillip, a political analyst, giving us insights and expertise of how this 6th Parliament will unfold. Of course, we will be keeping a close eye on the proceedings this afternoon, of course, in terms of how the voting will unfold. Of course, I'm going to try and bring in the spokesperson of Parliament, Mr. Moloto Mothapo, just maybe to give us a sense of how the voting will unfold and the technicalities lying before that. Mr. Moloto Mothapo, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, maybe something that was anticipated or not anticipated by Parliament, the ANC raising a nomination for the Speaker and the DA giving an opposing candidate. Where to from now?
Yeah. No, the whole thing is in terms of the Constitution. Like we said earlier, each and every party has got a right to fill their own candidates for all the three positions that are under contestation or are up for election in the National Assembly. So from the Parliament administration side, as we have said, all the preparation have been made, and with this recess being called and the National Assembly reconvening in the afternoon, what will happen, as the Chief Justice has said or instructed, all the names, the candidates for the position of the Speaker will be captured on a ballot paper. So now, as we are breaking, there are colleagues who are busy, the officials of Parliament that are busy with capturing those names on the ballot paper and the printing of ballot papers for the number of the members of Parliament that have just been sworn in, so that each and everyone can vote for their preferred candidates. So from now on until the House reconvenes in the afternoon, there will be the printing of those ballot papers, but also part of the preparation that have been made is to ensure that there is a voting infrastructure in the chamber of the National Assembly. So we will ensure that during this recess, we put in the voting booth, we put in the ballot boxes, and to ensure that all the necessary the pens and everything that is required is there. So once the House reconvenes in the afternoon, the voting process will begin for the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly. The same will apply in terms of the Deputy Speaker, because once the Speaker of the National Assembly is elected, she or he then takes the chair and presides over the election of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. So if there is more than one candidate for that position, so the whole process will then be conducted similarly through a ballot, a secret ballot. But if there is no contestation, there's just one nominated candidate, that person will be regarded as a duly elected Deputy Speaker.
For benefit of our viewers, who is going to oversee the printing of these ballot papers, as well as do the parties have representatives to actually ensure that they monitor that the process is not unfair?
Well, there is the returning officers that have been named by the Chief Justice, who will be responsible for monitoring the whole process of the printing. The process that gets monitored, or there are observers, is a counting process. Once the election has taken place, so all the ballot boxes will be taken to wherever, either within the chamber, on the floor of the chamber, or anywhere. That will be the decision of the Chief Justice, and in that room, wherever the counting will be taking place, there will be representatives of political parties who will be observing and monitoring the counting, and the whole counting, of course, is conducted under the supervision of the Chief Justice.
All right, Mr. Moloto Mothapo, he is the spokesperson of Parliament, obviously giving us an insight in terms of how the voting process is going to unfold, as well as monitoring the process of counting. But of course, what we did see in the nomination process, a commonality between the nomination of the ANC as well as the DA, both parties actually filling in the nomination forms in an incorrect way. So I don't know what that should say, but of course, Julius Malema, the CIC of the EFF, actually standing up and chirping across across the room to Mamunkosahlana Dlamini Zuma that, yes, says, is this the first impressions of the West Wing? Of course, we'll have to wait and see how the voting is going to unfold after lunch. As the ballot papers are being printed and the MPs have been released to go and have lunch while the processes of voting are being prepared. Later on in the afternoon, of course, the election of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, as well as the President-elect are going to be taking place. But on that note, before we go, we will be trying to bring you some of the opposition parties in terms of how the process is going to unfold this afternoon. We'll take it back to you guys in Johannesburg.